If you own a business, you probably realize that no matter how much you love it, you can't run it for all eternity. There are a lot of different exit options people have, from passing it on to family members, creating an employee stock option program, hiring a manager to run the business. But one day you're going to get out. And one of the things that we specialize is helping people find the right buyer for the best price and providing sense of well-being and satisfaction knowing the business will continue on well after the business owner has left. But we thought we'd give an overview of what's involved in selling a business. And by the way, if you wish, you can use a QR code and download a free copy of our Business Seller Success Guide. We'll go on. One of the key things is to get an idea of what your business is worth. We find that quite often business owners have gotten a general idea of how a business is valued, but way too often, a lot of the details and the financial calculations that they've been told and provided are just dead wrong, and it can be very confusing if you're expecting to get a certain amount of money for your business and the market is just not able to bear that. So getting a valuation early on, if you haven't had one done in the last 2 or 3 years, I highly recommend you go get a business valuation. But not only one that tells you what the market is likely to give to your business, but also assesses the points and value in your business. In other words, what are the things that you could do possibly to improve the value of your business? Okay, there's another thing is putting all the financial records together. I have on here 3 years, but because of COVID, I'm finding it's been more and more important to go back to prior to COVID so people can see how the business was performing in 2018 and 2019. Anyway, putting all your data and records together is essential. Putting your patching together, there's a process of creating a comprehensive business review or a CIM, information memorandum that's confidential. People aren't going to see this document until after they have signed a non-disclosure agreement, but you also want to create a teaser or a blind summary that also reaches out to the public saying, hey, there's this business for sale. And so people will at least reach out saying, I'd like to know about this company that's generating $3.5 million and netting $450,000 in owner's benefit in the distribution or electrical contracting company or whatever the industry is. So prepare all that, and then also prepare everything so that people can do a proper due diligence on your business. Now, marketing it, getting the word out. Today with the internet, there's a world wide web, and so your access is the entire world, but you also need to create the marketing that goes to the way that people are going to see it. So there's a lot of different websites. There's, in the state of Florida, there's the Business Brokers of Florida. There's our website. You can see below BuyBizUSA. There's BizQuest, Businesses for Sale, and there's a whole lot of different websites. But those aren't the only ways. Those are just the initial ways that people can reach out. If you work with a brokerage firm, they should have a large list of prospective buyers. If they're part of an organization that co-brokers, which means that they maximize the potential buyers coming in, you can reach out to organizations and individuals that are part of a network like the IBBA or the Business Brokers of Florida. If you're in Florida, obviously, and around the world. And then there's direct mail. There's a lot of different factors that make sense for different businesses, and the strategy might be a little unique for each business. Dealing with prospective buyers. So you're going to have a lot of people that might see your business and say, oh, tell me everything about it. We always recommend that you create a non-disclosure agreement, have them sign that, and make sure that you understand who you're talking to. In this day and age, it's really easy to sign something online, so we request that you identify the person either through LinkedIn or Facebook or from identification on a driver's license or a visa or some sort of documentation to confirm who they are, and then get a general sense of how much money they really have. You can, before you share too much information, not everybody's going to give you their entire bank account and that sort of thing, but you should just generally make sure that they're a type of buyer that's ready, willing, and able. Showing and negotiating your business is also going to be an important part of the process that you're going through. So at some point down the line, if it makes sense, they've signed the NDA, they reviewed your business, you've had an interview perhaps by phone or Zoom or whatever methodology you prefer. At some point, they want to come see your business, and you can do that in a couple different ways. If you have employees there, you may want to show the business after hours. On the other hand, maybe it's behooving you to show how busy it is with the employees and customers there, and in which case you sort of cloak the identity of the individual buyer coming in. You got to make sure you're not lining up 2 and 3 people every single day, but usually that's not the way it works. But be careful with that. Preparing a purchase agreement. That's one of the key things is once they get to a point where they're interested in, they may want to send you a letter of intent, which is usually non-binding. Sometimes it keeps you off the market, but gives them the freedom to shop around and do research and do due diligence, which that is very fair, but you also want to make sure that you are being treated fairly too. I try to encourage people to get pretty early on to the process of a purchase agreement, which says, hey, you've got a certain amount of days of due diligence, and of course it might be subject to getting a business loan or approval from a landlord, but let's make this thing short and sweet as much as possible and get to the point of knowing that I've got a real buyer on the line out there. They're going to want to conduct due diligence, and that's where early on in the process, as I mentioned, putting all your data and records together, but through the months that it might take for this, you probably have to update your financial records, your details, etc., and that's going to be important. Assist in the financing. So most people look to leverage their investment. If they have $1 million, they're going to want a business that's probably worth $5 million. If they have $5 million, they're going to want a larger business. So just waiting for somebody to come in and give you all cash offer is usually not going to be what the market is planning to do, and it's usually not in your best interest, because if someone has to pay all cash, then they're going to probably discount or not give you all that your business could potentially be worth. Imagine, and it happened in 2008 in some communities, imagine that there was no financing whatsoever and all homes and all automobiles had to pay for in cash at the transaction point. That would change the sale of homes in a drastic way for that time period that was enforcing. So you want to make sure that you have some sort of formality. And one of the best ways that I know of is that if you put your records and financials together in a distinct way so people can say, hey, I see that you make X amount of dollars on the bottom of your tax returns, but I know I can normalize or go through and look through your tax returns and say, aha, I see that you have depreciation, amortization, certain write-offs that make sense because you're the owner of the business and you pay yourself, or maybe a spouse that no longer works in the business but is getting a check. Adding all those things together and going to a bank and saying, hey, this is what I think I would like to sell my business for, and getting pre-qualified. If not, you have to consider the possibility of seller financing. A business closing, make sure you're having a qualified attorney. This is done in a couple different ways. In many cases, the buyer and seller use a closing attorney, the closing attorney holding the escrow funds and that sort of thing, and then they just work together through the process of closing. Other times, buyer and seller prefer to have attorneys, and I think that's a great way to go as well. Just make sure that you're not letting the two attorneys do all the negotiation and racking up your bills, etc., and that you're in a good position for not paying any more than you need to. You should pay for quality and have a great attorney that's experienced. And you also, even if you do the closing attorney, make sure you have someone that's reviewing all the documentation that's on your side from a legal standpoint as well. Of course, that's just the highlight of our introduction to what's involved in selling a business. Some people choose to sell the business on their own. If you type in the words why businesses don't sell, you'll see articles from Inc. magazine and Forbes and Exit Planning Institute that show that 70 to 90% of businesses that go on the market, usually unprepared, unorganized, or not having a realistic price, or a variety of different reasons, end up not selling, and that's a tragic thing. I encourage you to reach out to a business broker or business intermediary or a mergers and acquisition group that can help sell a business of your size, kind, and nature, but make sure you're dealing with someone that gives a darn about you, is compassionate, smart, organized, experienced, etc., as well as having the ability to sell your business. Good luck. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to help out. You can check us out at our website, BuyBizUSA. It's right up here. You can also check out and get your free ebook, and hopefully that'll give you a good idea as to the process of selling your business, if that's the avenue you do. Even if you're not planning on doing this in any foreseeable future, get the facts now, get a valuation now, get the details, and understand all the different elements. Your business is too valuable and too worthy, and a large percentage of your wealth is tied up in your business, and it would be a shame not to be able to extract it. Thank you, and have a great day. This is Brian Stevens with the Legacy Venture Group at BuyBizUSA. Take care.